Yep, I do. They just smell good. I was thinking wrong side. I was thinking Good morning, Mr. Casper.
How are you, Barry?
I'm wonderful. How are you this morning?
Couldn't be better. I got up early.
You're so funny.
Didn't go get up early.
Come on.
Hey, you wouldn't miss this for the world, right?
Duty calls, right?
Yeah.
Gonna go to the pantry, the new pantry, we're gonna make our final decision.
Nothing stronger.
We're gonna go
Nothing
over there.
probably should.
10:30, meet up with Brendan and.
Yeah, I imagine the move allow some logistical decisions.
Yeah.
It doesn't just happen overnight.
No, it's pretty much, we're ready though.
Okay, good morning, everyone. It's 9 a.m. We're going to start the meeting. Nina, do you take the roll?
Yes, I
Okay.
believe. Mayor Lynch?
Here.
Sean Finley?
Yes.
Here.
Here.
Steve Zanagy?
Here.
Scott Williams?
Here.
I'm trying to think, I should actually remember, if I should call you Member Finley? Jason?
That's fine. You can call us whenever you want.
Please stand for the pledge. Sean, would you lead us up?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
meeting and December 23rd meeting, minutes were not completed. So I'm going to watch old film and I'll have those for you guys next meeting.
I make a motion that we table the minutes from the 2 meetings mentioned for consideration at our next Board of Works.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Old business proven permitting software. Nina, do you want to talk to us about that?
Sure. So I have a demo scheduled for tomorrow with Proven. Also, I met with them yesterday for a couple hours. They had done kind of an inventory of the phones, of the copy machines that the city currently lease with them. We were able to start renegotiating that contract, and it looks like we can, if we move forward with renewing the lease with them, it'll also include maintenance agreements. We won't be paying for toner or anything like that anymore. It'll save $7,000 a month. And that will include new phones and training for the phones. But they will be at the next Board of Works meeting to discuss that. And I will send out the contracts for that too for review.
What time is your demo tomorrow?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
It's not tomorrow, I'm sorry, it's Thursday.
Thursday. That's the 16th.
Okay.
And then that's at your office, Nina?
Yes.
Would it be better to have it upstairs than with the TV screen?
I was going to do the demo on Thursday, and then we have a meeting with them Friday.
Right.
And they'll do it again, so
Okay.
it should be okay. I'll just let them remote in the computer.
Okay. And our meeting with them on Friday is, let me check.
It's at 3.
Noon. I have one at noon with them, so this must be another IT meeting at noon, so
Okay.
I don't have that on there. Okay. New business tag day for Portage Township Food Pantry.
Well, I'm here to request a tag day on September 12th. Try to get that in early since them dates fill up fast for the tag days. We've been doing this will be our 6th year now. And what we do is we raise monies, we collect monies on the corners, and then we also stand in front of the food chains here in the city, and we collect food products too. So asking that you guys approve our tag day from 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock on a Saturday.
Make a motion to approve tag day for the Portage Township Food Pantry on September 12th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
And so we do have our own vests, and we will, you know, we utilize our own vests. Okay, thank you.
I did notice, because there is another group that collects for a food pantry. Is that a local group? I think there's a couple of groups.
There
so-
are a few that do that.
Yeah.
They're probably just maybe churches that have a permit to do that.
But your vest does say Portage Township Food Pantry?
It does not,
Okay.
but we have our cans that have,
Okay.
it's visible though. And so, but that's something I will look into, since we are going to be doing that on a regular, yearly basis, that we'll spend a little money and have that printed on there.
Madam Mayor, if I may, we would prefer as the police department that it's just a safety vest. That's the idea, it's a traffic vest. We would prefer that they not be obstructed with any type of lettering. And we actually have some that we give out, but it's more for the safety of traffic than it is for identifying those that are doing it.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Okay, sure.
Thank you for that. Okay. Okay, solicitor's permit for Northwest Indiana Lawn Care. Is someone here from?
So, my name is Derek Wadley, the branch manager for that Weed Man Lawn Care DBA. It's,
What's the name of it? Weed Man?
It's the franchise name is Weed Man Lawn Care. It's just the holding company name is Northwest Indiana Lawn Care. So, we are a fertilizer and weed control company in Maryville, and we're looking to go door to door providing free quotes to the neighborhoods of Portage. So we may grow our business in this town.
Have you done it in the past?
Not in Portage, no sir.
Are you allowed to solicit door-to-door in Maryville?
To an extent, Maryville has some restrictions where we can only go until 3 o'clock, I guess, sir.
So where typically are your employees? Are they local employees? You hired locally from within the city of Portage, or would they be from other areas?
I've had Portage employees before, most of which work out of Lake Station or Hobart. I've got a couple employees from Gary, Crown Point. They're just wherever we can find a source when we're looking to grow our business. Sometimes we get Portage employees and sometimes we don't. But we're all over Northwest Indiana, so we're just based out of Maryville, so we're looking to grow our business everywhere really. We just want to work in Portage as well.
What type of identification do your solicitors present?
So each employee will have a Weed Man lanyard that's reflective. They'll have their employee badge on it. They were wearing reflective vests that say Weed Man jackets that have green on it that say Weed Man on it, and they will be wearing either baseball caps or winter hats based on the weather.
Does the identification have a photo ID?
Yes.
That can match the ID up with the person that's at the door?
Yes, sir.
And what about background checks? Do you screen your employees before you hire them?
Before we hire them, depending on the job, our franchise doesn't necessarily require it, but for most towns, like say for instance St. John, we have to do background checks that we did for this town to get that. Yes.
Could you provide us a list of people that would be soliciting?
Yes, sir.
Do you have recommendations? Do you have any recommendations from other towns where you work that?
Oh, absolutely, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. St. John, Crown Point,
I mean,
Valparaiso.
do they have, can they, if we call them, can they give us a recommendation?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
What were those towns again?
St. John, Crown Point, Valparaiso doesn't require it, but we've been working in Valparaiso for a while. There's Michigan City, LaPorte. There's a bunch of them.
And when are you planning on doing this?
As soon as possible, up until the end of May. So whenever you guys approve it.
Are there any other questions?
I did have a question, if I may. What's your first name?
My name's Derek.
Derek, my name's Ted Eastland, I'm the Assistant Chief of Police. Typically with solicitation permits we go through them pretty good just to get an idea. Did you turn in the
I did, yes, sir.
And you're aware that the conclusive result on
Yes.
one employee?
Yeah, that's why I had
We
questions
would be
about
much more comfortable to get a conclusion before we give our approval.
Okay.
With an inconclusive result.
So can I ask questions after the meeting?
Sure, you and I could talk privately
Okay.
on it, because I don't want to.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's,
Yes.
is the board clear?
And would you explain that to us, Ted, because
In some of the criminal background checks, there's some inconclusive results from the state police. We'd like to look into that a little bit further.
Good.
Then I'd like to recommend, I don't know, I have to do a formal motion that we table, Weed Man from Maryville until we clarify some of the concerns that we have with our Portage Police Department. And we may want to clarify too, we do have to have the background checks, am I correct in saying that?
I would, if someone's not in door to door, yes, that's.
Okay, and we definitely will recommend that as well.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. So you will get with Ted and, okay, we have Reese Riley, change order number 4 for Willow Creek Road paving project. Nina, for some reason or another, I couldn't bring that up. Do you wanna?
If you, you wanna talk about that?
Oh, thank you, Sandy.
Change order number 4 for our Willow Creek Road paving and repair project is actually a decrease to the contracted amount in the amount of $13,323.50, which would then bring our contract to $2,329,279.21. So our past couple of change orders have actually been decreases to the contract amount. This is our final change order, which is just zeroing out our quantities. We used less striping than what was originally bid out, originally estimated. And we're just, like I said, zeroing out the quantities. So our final cost for the Willow Creek Road resurfacing project is $2,329,279.21.
Make a motion to approve the change order number 4 that decreases the project by, I think you said $13,023.50.
$13,323.50.
Thank you. Which brings the final project cost to $2,329,279.20. Is that correct?
That is correct. And for those of you who weren't here last year, our Willow Creek Road paving project was a 50-50 matching grant. We received $1 million from our community crossing matching grant through the state of Indiana. So we already received the $1 million. It's been sitting in an account and has been paying towards this. So ultimately, the city of Portage is only putting the $1.3 million towards the project.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Reith Riley change order number 4 for the 2019 street paving project.
Alrighty. Change order number 4 for our 2019 street paving project is a decrease in the contract amount of $42,438.08, which brings the contract price down to $1,129,360.14. Our 2019 street paving project, this was funded through the city and through our redevelopment commission. We resurfaced a couple streets throughout the city. We also resurfaced Crispin Road. That was, something more visible to a lot of people. Installed the landscape medians there at Route 20. Again, our past couple change orders have been really a decrease to the contract, zeroing out quantities, and this one is our final change order with our final payout to follow.
Couple questions.
Of course.
Mrs. Cole, what was the cost of those medians on North Willow Creek on Route 20?
Oh, let me look up on their progress estimate here. Our retaining wall was just under $40,000, $37,389.
I know there was an incident in which the wall was damaged. Was that repair covered by the contractor's insurance?
That was covered by the accident. So it's actually going through, I believe, Allstate through the vehicle insurance
Okay.
of the parties involved. Because it was under contract and it wasn't paid for completely, we hadn't paid for it 100%. We hadn't accepted ownership of it from Reith Riley. It's their responsibility to go through Allstate and get it paid for, get their money to reconstruct it from them.
So if I understand you correctly, we paid out the money initially to repair it, or Reith Riley did?
We have only paid to construct it once.
Okay.
So the order of events. We paid for a portion of it to be constructed. They weren't done yet, so we hadn't paid for 100% of it.
So the timing of the damage was
The
good.
accident happened, and because we hadn't accepted ownership of it, the contract hasn't been closed out yet. It was Reith Riley's responsibility to go after whoever's fault the accident was.
Gotcha.
So they're in that process right now, and what we are only paying for is construction of it just one time.
Thank you. And one more question
course.
on the original budget, dollars that were planned on being spent for street paving that ended up being $1,129,000 and some change. What was the original budgeted dollars for that? Do you
Well,
know?
I can't tell you what the original budgeted dollars are or were. I can tell you what the project bid out as, and we awarded the contract for 1.579.
Okay.
It was actually $1,579,932.45.
Thank you. Just trying to get some background on that.
Of course.
Some historical data. With that said, I will make a motion to approve the change order number 4 for street paving that decreases the project by $42,438.08 and bring the final project in at $1,129,360.14.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. Reith Riley Pay App number 6, Willow Creek Road Project.
Our app number 6 for Willow Creek Road is for the final amount billed for work in November, December. Basically, we're looking at finishing up the striping throughout the city. The invoice is for $19,579.86. To follow this is pay app number 7, and it is just releasing retainage on this project. And pay app number 7 is in the amount of $232,927.92. And these will be the final pay apps for the Willow Creek Road project.
All right, so I'm confused. It doesn't take a whole lot sometimes. Going back to Reith Riley number 4 pay app, you indicated that the final cost was $2,329,279.20. Does that include the $19,579.86 that we just?
It includes both of our pay apps. So the change order was to decrease the quantity, basically to final out the job. It's a change order. It's just changing the contract amount. And the pay apps are actually their invoices where we pay them for the work that they've done. So pay app number 6, I can go through here. We're paying for striping, and that's pretty much it. We're paying for striping for the 2019 project, and pay app number, for the Willow Creek Road project. And pay app number 7 is we hold out 10% retainage throughout the project,
Sure.
and we're just paying out the retainage.
Gotcha. All right.
So these are the final invoices for the Willow Creek Road project. If you recall, it took them a while to get out there and finish up the striping on Willow Creek Road, and then we ran into weather issues, but this is just finally paying out the rest of the striping and closing out the project. Otherwise, this would have been done a while ago if we had striping done.
So I noticed you said pay app 7 too. Are 6 and 7 kind of?
Well, they're the final pay apps for the project, so, the actual final invoice is for the $19,000, but then to pay out the retainage is number 7, which is the $232,000.
Okay.
So they sort of do go hand in hand. It's just these are officially the end of the project.
So we are completely done with Willow Creek now. Good news. Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that, and this motion will include both pay app number 6 and pay app number 7, to approve the pay for number 6, a final amount of $19,579.86 to complete the striping that was done in November, December. And also in that motion, I would request pay app number 7, which is the $232,927.93 for the 10% retainage that we hold back on all projects.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Pay app number 9, street paving project.
Pay app number 9 is our final invoice for our 2019 street paving project. It is in the amount of $3,286.56. This is again finalizing the striping out on Chrisman Road. This is actually the final invoice. This was to be paid for by our redevelopment commission. Since the Board of Works holds the contract for this project, we get permission from you guys to pay it, and then it'll go to the redevelopment commission to actually pay the project. So this was for, again, Chrisman Road. The redevelopment commission agreed to pay for the paving and the landscape medians in Chrisman Road when we entered into this project.
So the city will invoice RDC?
I'm not sure if they actually send an actual invoice or how that works. That's out of my realm, but
Okay.
the board approves the invoice according to my recommendation, and then it is held out to, goes to the redevelopment commission meeting, and then they can approve the payment of it.
Okay.
Check on that.
There'll be something, Scott.
Yeah, we just need something to document that they owed us the money and they paid us. However that happens.
So we have a motion.
No, we have to have a motion.
Oh, I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to pay app number 9, 2019 street paving project in the amount of $3,286.56.
Correct.
And then, yeah, and I think we need to include in the motion that the RDC will
Okay.
actually pay the
Reimburse the
city.
city.
Reimburse the
Okay.
city.
Do we have a motion and a second? Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We have the city attorney contract. Everybody get a copy of all those things I was sending you yesterday. So Dan, would you like to explain that? Because I think you basically took this off of the previous.
Yes, so what I did, Madam Chairman, is I took, the city didn't have a copy of the most recent contract for the prior city attorney, because it wasn't on file. But I did go and meet with the prior city attorney, and I got Lisa's understanding of what was going on. I went through their past billing, and it seemed to jive with what he was saying. So I reconstructed a contract, which I believe mirrors what's been happening. I also went back to the city attorney prior to him to see how it was being done under the Mayor Velasquez administration, and sort of mirrored that as well. So I think what I've come up with is pretty much the status quo with how the city's been operating.
And the hourly rate that's in the contract, Dan, is reflective of the hourly rate that all attorneys charge the city for their services.
That's correct, and so.
And that's by ordinance?
That's, yes, that is our city rate, and you'll see in the contract that I'm going to supervise all the attorneys that are representing the boards within the city. I'm going to be initialing off on their invoices. Nobody's going to charge more than that. That's our city rate, and that's what we're paying.
I make a motion to approve the contract for attorney services from Witten & Witten provided to the city of Portage for 2020.
A second.
We have a Motion by Scott and a second by Shawna. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
You can sleep now, Mr. Wood.
Are we okay just doing the roll like that, or do we need to do it?
I thought it was for free.
No, then I can document that.
Okay, but we're okay otherwise. Steel Shores Media.
Your Honor, did we, Madam Chair, did we address the ambulance contract?
I don't see it on this,
I think
but
it's
we
under the
do
whole-
have the ambulance
Yeah,
contract.
we do have it, yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know if it was.
It's not on the agenda, and
Okay.
I think it got added on late.
Gotcha.
If you want, everybody got a copy of the ambulance contract?
Yes.
Do you want to explain that, Dan?
So, yes, Madam Mayor, I put out some, not really bids, but requests for proposals to handle the ambulance collection. It's typically been handled by collection firms. Hodges and Davis did it before, for a while. Raymond Elwood did it before them. Under prior administrations, both of those two have actually handled it at different times because they have a collection department. I got 4 or 5 responses. Some were much higher than others. The one that you have in front of you was the most cost efficient of all of them, and that's the Raymond Elwood McClure contract. They have a sort of a per case flat $6 plus a contingency for any monies collected. I asked all 4 of them to submit it as a contingency fee so that we don't have a lot of outlay from the city chasing, when you have contingencies on these collection accounts, it tends to get them a little motivated to collect a little better when their money is dependent on that. So this was the best under the all the circumstances, so this is the one that I would recommend.
Tim, did you want to add anything about the ambulance? I know that you guys have worked on extra collection.
Yeah, I just want to clarify, this is simply the bills that are uncollectible at that time, so instead of having our personnel worry about doing that, meaning the clerk treasurer personnel, this would be turned over to collection so they can return to the up-to-date current billing. Yeah, we're not really aware of who actually did it before in the past, so I think we would probably go by Mr. Williams or the board's recommendation, so. Thank you.
Just from a procedural standpoint, how many notices do we send to an individual or entity that owes the city money for ambulance services?
I don't think he would even know that.
Yeah, I don't know that, Scott. I know they're, the clerk treasurer's office and who does it down there, they're pretty good at it. We have a very high collection rate, from what I recall.
Okay. That's good to hear.
So I think they generally try to at least get some type of arrangement with the people that have been billed. And as long as they can do that, I think everybody's pretty happy. It's the ones that they really just don't make an effort to try to send anything in, or you can't contact them or whatever. Those are generally the ones that are turned over to collection. So I can tell you we get very few, if any, complaints about our billing through the clerk treasurer's office. Because usually a lot of people think we're the ones sending the bill to the fire department. So sometimes if they, because we get people coming in all the time trying to drop their bill off at the fire department, and usually if they got a complaint, they'll say it at that point. I can tell you we get very, very few complaints on that. So they're doing a pretty good.
Yeah, hopefully they pay their bill.
Yeah.
When they get the initial notice and invoice, and we don't have to chase that many. Again, without knowing what those statistics are, I guess I'm confident that the vast majority pay those bills.
Yeah, we have a very high collection rate compared to a lot. We're in turn able to collect a lot more from Medicare and Medicaid.
Right.
Those two organizations are kind of an animal in themselves. You got to kind of handle them differently. You got to wait for them to go through their process, along with a lot of insurance companies. They have a process they got to go through to send the money and go from there. My understanding is the biggest problem is right now with some of the insurance companies is they make it a point to pay the insurer the money, and we have a hard time getting the
Get
money
it
out
back
of
from
the
that,
insurer. So, you know, I guess that becomes a little bit of an issue, but.
Well, and I think, and I haven't had an opportunity to dig into that yet, but we don't accept assignment, so that's why the checks get cut to patient, whoever was transported, and we get it from them. Sometimes they don't even realize they don't understand the process too, so that's something that we might want to look at.
Can they make the check out to like the patient and the city?
I think that's up to the insurance company.
Okay.
But
Is
if
that
we
something,
accepted assignment, we would get it directly.
Yeah. Is that something, Clerk Treasurer Rivas, you could look into to see if we could?
I'll see too, I'll talk to the girls and get some like 2019 collection rate information too.
I can tell you that most probably will not do that. I actually, because one of our own insurance companies, Delta Dental that we have, I actually requested them to just make the check out to my provider, and their comment is, you're the insured, the money will always go to you first. So, and so that's just some insurance policies or companies' policies.
And with that too, is probably because they're not in network.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you that, but I tried that, and it didn't really go, so.
It must be certain circumstances, because I have Delta Dental, and they send it right to my dentist.
Me too.
Yeah.
Really?
It's probably if they're in network or not, probably.
So you think that's the issue?
Well, I think it's worth looking into. We can improve how quickly we get the money. With that said, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the contract with Rain, Elwood, and McClure for 2020 for debt collection services for ambulance fees.
And I'll second.
We have a motion by Scott and a second by Shauna. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Steel Shores Media Contract. So this is a media services. It is, it's a very short term, it's only a 3-month contract. When we started talking to Steel Shores, we started out with a 1 year, and then I decided, since we had not done this before, we should probably bring it down to about 3 months and see how it works out. What the purpose of this is to promote the city and to get our word out, professionally done. Everybody isn't just throwing something out there. And the person that would be doing this has a lot of previous experience. He was a correspondent for a newspaper for many, many years. So I think what it is, like I was speaking to the fire department and said if they would like to do a press release, this person will be available to help them prepare that and help even with the police department. They do have a PIO officer, but to help us do a better job at communicating to the public what is going on within the city.
Madam Mayor, if I could, I also want to draw attention to the board that even though it's a 3-month contract, I did write in an automatic termination clause if we want to terminate early. Since we're sort of trying this out to see how we do, and it's new, someone new to our city, I thought it might be good to have that early out escape clause.
There's several things I like about going in this direction. I like the idea of centralizing our media services. It's funneled through to one entity that can make sure there's a consistent message going out, and we don't have a number of groups or entities that are putting press releases out or communicating to the public. So I think that's a real benefit. I like the fact that it's a short-term trial to see how things work out, and that we also do have the, as you stated, Attorney Whitten, a termination clause. We've had some issues in the past with long-term agreements and contracts where the termination aspect of those contracts have been questionable. So I think that the this makes sense for those reasons.
And I agree, just wanted to say too, just adding that we get to share our story. I mean, a lot of times, like you just said, people try to control the narrative, but having someone to be able to share a story about the great things they were doing here in the city of Portage, instead of harping on the negative, I think is a positive step in the right direction, so, thank you.
And I would like to add that no release will go out until it is past Dan's inspection. The releases will go to Dan, he will review them for corrective.
There's been a couple in the past that made me scratch my head, so we don't want to do that anymore.
So we're trying to cover all the bases, but we still want to get the message out professionally for the city, so.
I make a motion to accept the contract for Still Shores Media.
I'll second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Okay, moving on to Dark Side of the Light, which is our videographer back there, Z. Dan, you want to talk about the contract? I think I sent it all to everybody.
Yes.
Should have it.
So, Mayor, sort of the same stuff, with respect to the contract form. We've got an early out, it's a 12-month contract, we have an early out cancellation if we wanted to disengage at any time during the contract. I'm sure Z will do an awesome job, but since it's a newer contract, I thought it was important that we have the ability to terminate early if we needed to. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of the contract itself. Mayor, maybe you want to speak to the wonderful things that Z is doing with this videography, but it seems like the contract kind of speaks for itself. Live streaming and putting together these videos for transparency and public access to what's going on at these meetings, I think that's paramount to this administration. So I think this is something that's necessary and beneficial.
And we met with Z several times with Dan and other members of the council. Scott, did you meet with Z?
Yes. I think that Dark Side of the Light, that is owned by Zernell, has been willing to, come to our meetings to make sure that we capture them. He was at our city council meeting, agreed to do that without a contract. So I think that was, very cordial of him to do that. I'm confident that he and his company will provide the services that we expect and look for over this next year.
How is the public able to access that?
Well, Z, do you want to tell us how the public accesses that?
They can access it through Facebook and YouTube. It's going on live right now. So as long as anybody knows that link is there, they can see it. We already have, at this current time, there's 28 people watching us live on Facebook. I'm not sure how many people are watching us live on YouTube. But the notice actually goes out ahead of time before the meetings. There's a notice that goes out to people that already like the page, so they know that the meetings are going to go live. At that time, they can watch it or access it later, because it never goes away.
And what page is that?
The Facebook page, the City of Portage Facebook page, as well as the City of Portage YouTube page.
Okay.
And even if something were to happen disastrous with the YouTube or Facebook pages and those things get deleted, I have them stored as well, so we can always re-upload them at any time if we need to.
Thank you, Z.
I'll make a motion that we accept the contract for Dark Side of the Light for 2020 for media services, which includes streaming and videotaping of said meetings that are laid out in the contract.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Scott and a second by Shauna. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, there was a question about how folks could know when this stuff's gonna be posted. I believe it may be possible, maybe the week of a meeting, we can post it on our marquee board out front.
Oh, that'd be
That's
great.
a great idea.
With, show the website and, hey, your board of works meeting's gonna be on this date, and And that way people driving down Central Avenue.
So that's great.
That's a super idea.
Would be made aware, so if that's something that you'd like to have, please contact us, and we'll see if we can get that done.
So is the police department the ones that are in charge of changing the message on?
IT does it for us, but most of those messages are public safety related. But we can add things like that, because obviously that's important for our citizens to know what's going on. So
Great, thank you.
Well done, Ted.
Great idea.
I'd also
It's all
propose,
about communicating with our public. We can't do enough of that.
I'd also propose too, to that end, creating a video that would act as an awareness, so to speak, that would go out to people. So I'm sure we could get more than 28 people watching it. I don't know how many people actually know or are even friends on the Facebook page and that kind of thing. You know, something just creates more awareness to that end.
Yeah,
Could you maybe include it in the mayor's letter or the city's letter? It goes out
Like
to
email
the
blast
public,
kind of thing?
or goes out to the public, you know? I mean, isn't there something that goes out every quarter?
We haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
We're like 11 days in, but we're working on that.
Well,
We're
that's-
working
and
on
I think that's
that.
something, with this new media services contract with Steel, thank you, Steel Shores, that could be something that they could get involved with as well.
Also, maybe you can mention it on your automatic phone system, you know, your message.
Right,
to
the all-call
city.
system.
The all-call system.
Yeah, I think a lot of people still don't know that they can watch a variety of our meetings, the Plan Commission, the BZA.
Sure.
That's true.
Nice to have
That is true.
It's all about transparency.
Yes, it is.
So we did our vote, right? We're good. Okay, on to major illness request.
So I've had a series of these given to me, I've signed off on them, except for a couple that weren't filled out correctly. So the ones that you have, I'm assuming are the ones that I've signed off, or at least reviewed and said they're good. So we recommended the board approve those. On a side note, at our first, the mayor's first department head meeting, I'm going to talk to the department heads about being a stopgap on the incorrectly filled out medical illness or FMLA requests, because we need to get those right. The time's of the essence with those, so we can't really have a lot of delay, because I have to send them back to get done correctly. So we'll address that with the department heads as soon as Mayor, but what you've got now seems to be the ones that got through the gate.
Well, Nina, I don't see them on the docket here, so.
Well, there's HIPAA, rules, so.
We don't want to put their names out during the meeting, we don't want to put their names for public access, because that's a HIPAA violation. So I think maybe procedurally, the clerk treasurer and I can review these, and I'll recommend to you the ones that we've got, and you can approve them.
Okay.
So we make a motion to approve, how many are there?
4, 5, I think it's 4 of them.
Do we have a motion to approve the major illness claims? I believe there's 4 of them.
I'll make a motion to approve the 4 major illness claims that have been presented contingent upon our city attorney's approval. Contingent upon the city attorney's approval.
And I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
This is the public hearing.
I think we have a couple more items.
Yeah, we
Madam
do,
Mayor.
and it's not on my agenda,
Right,
so
I
I'm trying
understand the
to.
confusion.
And Diane had put this together, it was kind of at the end of the day, yes. So anything else that she may have missed for the agenda can just be under other business.
So, Nina, how do we make sure that everything gets on the agenda? Because if there's something I'm not aware of, we can't.
Right, and I told Diane, we had a discussion yesterday, it took her most of the day to get the docket together. I told her moving forward, I'm not sure if the meeting dates are gonna change or time, but that I wanted to make sure that it was done prior like, if we kept it on Tuesday, like Thursday be the cutoff, that way you guys, I can make sure it gets out by Friday, and then you guys can have an entire weekend to review everything, and if there's any questions, that, you know, prior to the meeting, if it was still on Tuesday, it could be, you know, asked on Monday or whatnot.
Yeah, I'd like the members to at least have 2 or 3 days to review the material they all work.
And myself too, even with, you know, the docket, I mean, I have to have time to review it, because if you guys have any questions, I need to investigate too.
And if I don't have a contract, if you guys are gonna be voting on a contract and I don't have it Friday before your meeting,
Right.
I'm not gonna give you an opinion on it, unless it's emergency, because that's dangerous.
Well, it's just a courtesy to everybody to make sure we're doing everything right. So, Scott, you said there were a couple other things. I don't have anything other than the claims on here.
We have the resolution that was
Okay. It's not on
introduced
here.
at the city council meeting regarding the emergency status of the lakefront. The reason why the resolution, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, the reason why the resolution is being presented to the Board of Works is because when it was approved at the city council, it had a timeline associated with a deadline of only 7 days. In order to extend this emergency status longer, the Board of Works needs to approve that. So that's why it's on our agenda. Is that correct, Mr. Whitman?
That's correct, Scott. The statute allows for the executive, the mayor, to declare the emergency, but to extend it past the initial 7 days, the statute requires that the governing body of the city approve that and ratify that declaration of emergency. So I asked the city council to do it and the Board of Works to do it. We'll cover both sides of it.
Yeah, as everybody knows, we have extensive erosion and damage out there, and we need to continue to make the public aware and other bodies, the federal government, state, aware of the status and the problem there. So I think it makes sense to extend that resolution.
And just to update you, I did speak with Paul Leibowitz, who is the superintendent at the National Parks, yesterday afternoon. They did close another little portion out there because there was a collapse of a piece of asphalt. And looking at the picture, I wasn't exactly sure where it was, but they did cordon that off. The building is still structurally safe. They felt very comfortable that that was not a problem yet. So they're monitoring it closely. I did tell Paul if there was anything at all we could do beyond this emergency declaration to please let us know. We would do what we could to maybe get some emergency monies. We would send letters, whatever. He is looking into emergency monies in various places. So he will keep us updated. But I am in close touch with him, so we're staying on that. It was really horrible the other day out there, if anyone out there. Those waves were brutal. They were just brutal. And, you know, I think my concern is that people, there were a lot of cars out there, there was a lot of traffic, but people getting out of their cars and trying to get a little bit closer to get a better picture, it made me really nervous because I don't want Tim's divers to have to go out there and get somebody out of the water in those kind of conditions. People need to think about what they're doing because it's very dangerous for a lot of other people if they get out there and they get in a situation where they need assistance, then it's going to affect other people's lives as well. So if you see people out there, I guess caution them and say, you know, stay back. Just need to stay back from there.
Well, with that said, Mayor, would it make sense to consider closing that area off till we're completely confident that it's safe? You know, people are curious. They'll drive out there. I don't want to create a situation where we're scaring the public, but at the same time, I'm concerned about public safety, and I don't know if Fire Chief Cosby has any thoughts on this, input you can share.
Well, I mean, there is
I don't
a
mean
little
to
bit.
put you on the spot.
No, that's fine. I mean, obviously there is some dangerous areas. My jurisdiction on the National Lake Shore, I don't think I have any. So that would have to be it. I think all I can tell you is maybe put the gate across the road, and that's really about it. But to actually declare that where nobody can go out there, I don't believe I have that jurisdiction.
And if they go around the gate, I have no authority to stop them.
Well, it is National Lakeshore property, and they make the calls out there. And at this point, they feel that they've cordoned off areas where you're not supposed to be, and that's really not our call. So as long as we stay in touch with them, and it's all about staying in touch, letting them know that, you know, they're letting us know that they're out there and checking it. But I know on Saturday in Michigan City, there were surfers out there, because that's a,
I'm sure they were really sitting there.
they were looking forward to those waves, so.
And just so you guys are aware, and I can't speak for local law enforcement, but in regards to the fire service, we have very limited jurisdiction or decision-making capabilities on federal property or federal buildings. So even in the post office, which is a federal building, we have limited jurisdiction in that building. So unfortunately, the Lakeshore falls under that.
Well, I'm sure the mayor's office will, as she has in the past, will stay on top of this and keep us informed.
I think that's the right answer.
So we have this resolution that we have to consider. Did you want me to read part of this, Mayor, or just the actual resolution?
Pardon?
Okay.
Yeah, it was.
I don't want to repeat something that everybody's aware of. So I make a motion that the Board of Works adopt the same resolution that was adopted at the last city council meeting that regarding a local disaster emergency in respect to our lakefront.
I say
We have a motion by Scott, a second by Steve. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. We have a couple other things. I know that Shauna was having a scheduling conflict, and she would like to discuss with the board other possible times to meet.
I did get a chance to connect with Nina, just to make sure that, you know, meeting the needs of the clerk's office, because that's very important. That's what we're here to service the community. Even if we could just even look at the time on Tuesday, I think Tuesday is the day. If we could just look at a different time other than 9 o'clock, that would be my recommendation, or just a suggestion, and asking my other fellow colleagues on the board.
What time would you?
11 o'clock, would that be okay with everyone?
That's fine, thank you.
That works for you?
Fine.
Okay.
That actually could work out better.
Okay. 11 o'clock on Tuesdays? Okay.
Now, the
Thank
other
you.
thing is we have to check. Ted, is this building used for training?
I'll have to check with Debbie. We do have it scheduled. We'll just have to check that schedule. And if this is what the board decides, we'll check the schedule and make arrangements. Obviously, city business is going to take precedence. So
There are other meeting rooms in here though, right? The other.
I don't believe that they would be fit for this. If you had public that wanted to come, they're not going to be large enough. So I believe there won't be any problems. And frankly, city business is going to take precedence. So once we schedule, we'll just schedule it throughout the year. This is what I'm trying to tell you.
So we are looking at changing the VOW meeting to 11 a.m. on the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of the month.
Yes. So I'd like to make a recommendation that we change the VOW meeting on every 2nd and 4th Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to change our meeting time to 11 a.m.
Thank you.
Does that work out with you?
Works out. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, I know we have claims on here, but is there any other business that I've missed that I don't see on this agenda? Randy? Randy?
Just one bulk
Our
item.
street superintendent.
Just one bulk item, trash appeal to bring before the board. I'm gonna refer to this one as on Oakwood. We picked it up back in December. We do take extensive pictures, and document all bulk item. This was a $200 charge. It was a very large pile in front of a duplex that the owner cleaned out. He's referred to his reason for that the fee is unreasonable is because he had the garbage out there the first week of the month. The garbage was not picked up right away. I was not aware of the 40 square foot rule. So we've been in this ordinance since 2013. He has had previous charges in years past, so I'm asking the board, I wish he was here today, because it does state on the form that it's his responsibility to come and make his reasons known to the board while the fee is unreasonable. So I'm asking the board to uphold the charge of the $200.
Now, this is the owner of the property?
Yes.
From what I saw in the pictures, plus if he has repeated offenses, I think we should go along with the fee. You mean, I know you have bulk week, the first of the month, but that's more than a bulk.
Yes, within the ordinance it states once you go past the 40 square feet, then it gets charged $100 an hour. Once you're within that 40 square feet, it's free, but this is beyond.
And also, ignorance of the law is not justified, you know what I'm saying? He could find out, I think when they came out with the toters and everything, we had what goes in recycling, what goes in bulk weeks, you know, holiday weeks, your garbage is picked up a day later and that kind of stuff, so I think we should approve this.
How is once it exceeds the 40 square feet, how is the fine determined? You said, is there a range, or is it just a flat amount of $200?
No, it goes $100, and then it's $100 a pack. So there's a very large pile, and it's $10 per pack for a rear loader. Okay.
So there's a procedure.
Yes.
It's quantified. It's not just some arbitrary number you
No.
okay.
Here's another question too. So, are there late fees or anything like that attached to this if they don't pay it within a certain time
That
frame?
is with the utility billing system.
Okay.
I'm not aware of that. I think there are late fees.
Okay.
But
Thank you.
Nina, I believe they put liens on, they put liens on.
I can get a fee schedule, you can email it out.
Thank you.
All right, I make a motion that we uphold the $200 fee that is recommended by the street department for this particular incident because of it exceeding the 40 square foot requirement in which it's free.
Steve, did you make that motion in the beginning?
I started, but that's all right.
Oh, okay. I apologize.
That's all right.
Do you want to continue and
No,
then Scott can second?
just let Scott go. He likes to.
He's a motion man.
Today I am.
He's in motion.
I made a motion today, but that could change.
Would you like to second that, Steve?
Second.
We have a motion by Scott and a second by Steve to support Randy's fee of the $200 charge on the Oakwood House. Do we need to say anything else about that? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. We have the claims, all 17 pages of them.
Can you get more clarification on that claim on question, Nina?
So, has everybody had a chance to review these? Because I think that this is our first time at reviewing the claims. They are $1,341,105.61.
May I make a comment, Madam Mayor? Thank you. No, I think this is an extremely important part of role of the Board of Works. And we have to take it very, very, very seriously. And I'm sure we will. $1.3 million is a lot of money. And typically these claims, the claims that we review, involve a lot of money. I think moving forward with this Board of Works, a couple things we need to keep in mind. when an item gets on the docket, it needs to be dollars that are appropriated, and those dollars need to be available via the budgets. And then we have to, this is where we rely on the department heads. Department heads manage that budget, and we need to make sure, and we're confident that the claims that end up on this docket are claims that are, you know, reflect budgeted dollars. So, and again, I have no reason to believe that that's not the case. It's just a comment reinforcing the importance. It's okay to ask questions about these claims. I think that's our role. I have some questions today. Maybe we can't get them answered, and I'm not necessarily saying that we don't pay the docket as presented, but it is our responsibility, because ultimately it's going to come back to us in respect to public input, questions. Why did you approve this claim? Did you not question a particular line item? So I think we have to take this with a high degree of sincerity. So with that said, I do have some questions beginning on page 6, and others may have other questions. I noticed that we purchased a motor through MVH for $1,600. Was this a motor in obviously in a vehicle? Maybe Randy, you could clarify that. I'm glad you're here today. Are you familiar with that purchase and what that motor was for?
Does it say a time on the?
It came from Linco.
Linco? It might have been like a hydraulic motor for one of our, it's not just like a regular gas motor. It might have been like a hydraulic pump motor that we use for our big plows.
Okay. All right. And again, I'm not nitpicking. We have to rely on the department heads to make sure that there are dollars appropriated and money still available. Obviously, this is the first of the year. Hopefully there's money available. But I also noticed that we installed some floor liners, and it was over, and I don't know if that's multiple liners, but it was $6,600 for a floor liner.
Yeah, that was on truck 403. We took that down to Ohio, to McNeilis, to get it replated. So the entire floor of the automation truck was wore out. It's one of our older trucks, and it's still in very good condition, so we had that done. So the complete floor was just, the metal was completely just worn out, and they did a new floor liner.
I have can I follow up on your question?
Oh, absolutely.
So MVH is a
Motor Vehicle Highway.
Okay, thank you. Working on the acronyms, new alphabet here. So do we contract that out, or is that something we just go to that particular vendor and they're the only one that can service us in that capacity?
Yes, for our McNeilis automation trucks, they're the only vendor that
Okay.
can do that.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Then on page 7, we have a vendor, RETRIEVEX, cable TV professional services storage fee, $1,700. Do you want that? I'm not sure why that service is needed, and I thought our cable TV was Comcast provider. I'm not sure. Again, these are questions I have. I don't know.
Well, the cable TV fund is, actually the fund is at the clerk treasurer's discretion.
Okay.
When it has money, because that's usually where a lot of temporary loans get paid and transferred to
Sure.
them.
Sure.
And that's just from user fees. We get that from cable TV provider. So there's the fee if you have a Comcast account, you can see it on your bill. But I did notice that this, and we can table it if you would like. I'd like to know too, I noticed it was on the December and November docket.
Yeah, I'd like to pick, if we can, without interfering with any city services, maybe table that payment, not maybe, table that payment till we get further clarification of the purpose of that vendor.
Yeah, I'd like to know, is that a monthly, yearly? What are they storing?
Yeah, what are they storing? I mean, I get a cable bill, but I never get a, I don't ever see it. Maybe I'll look at it more closely if there's some type of storage fee on it.
No, the cable TV is just the fund.
The fund, okay. But, all right.
So, because cable TV has its own appropriation for the funds.
Yeah, you're right, and I apologize for trying to create some confusion there. I guess I'm more concerned about the purpose of that vendor and what they're storing.
I'll check into it when we get back to the office.
Well, I don't think we got a second on the motion.
Well,
I don't know if we need one. Motion.
Oh, I'll definitely second about Retrievix, if that was a motion.
There was a motion.
That, then I will second.
so we have a motion and a second to table the Retrievix bill for $1,720.93. We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Doc, do you have any further?
Yeah, I have a few others. Apologize for, you know. I see we're paying Attorney McEwen.
I'm going to address that one, Scott, real quick.
Yes, sir.
Good. Since that's an attorney fee invoice, I want to preliminarily approve those. I need more information on that, so I'm asking to table that as well. Court Treasurer's Office has reached out to them to get the additional information that I need, and I haven't had it yet, so. But I ask you not address that one today.
Well, I'll make a motion to table the Patrick McEwen payment until further investigation by our attorney, Dan Whitten.
We have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Sean, a second by Steve, to table the Patrick McEwen attorney fees of $1,408 until there is further investigation by our attorney. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Scott, can I bring something up while we're on that page?
Yes, sir.
And with
Yeah.
regards to a consulting fee, it is the second line item, Ice Miller LLP.
Yes.
For $1,011.50. Dan, I believe you looked into that,
Which one is it, Mayor?
Dice Miller.
the Ice Miller.
Oh, yes.
So,
So at this point, I mean, it's a valid claim. However, I'm not sure that there's a whole lot more. It's a valid claim. We need to pay it. We engaged their services. They've been unable to get very far with what they were doing. I'm probably going to pick up the ball here and run with that a little bit, but there's a couple of things that I need first, and the clerk treasurer is working on getting those for me, and then I will go from there.
So, but you believe at this point it's a valid enough claim that we need to approve it?
I think it's a claim that you need to approve. I'm not entirely sure that it's worth what we're being billed for, but it's something that they're entitled to be paid.
so do we have a contract with them, and that's, we're gonna get another bill from them?
So here's the thing. If there's a contract with them, nobody has it that I know of. It might very well be that the prior administration simply approved the city attorney engaging their services. So as you probably know, all of those attorneys serve at the city attorney's pleasure by statute. So I have spoken with them. I have asked them for an update of what they've done so far. And based upon what I'm learning from the clerk treasurer's office and my brief conversations with other entities that we're dealing with on this issue, they need to hold off a little bit. So I've advised them of that.
So we can approve this one, but we need to advise them that maybe we're not moving forward with whatever this is.
Not as of yet, yes. So they've been advised that, Mayor, and they're in a holding pattern until we get There's not much more they can do until
Yes.
we get the documents that we need.
But how is this different than the last one where we don't approve for the attorney because we don't have all the information, and this one we?
It was redacted.
We do have, so here's the thing, we do have the information
Okay.
to substantiate their bill. What I'm saying is, we don't have documentation to allow them to do anything further.
Okay.
Going forward. Going forward,
Okay.
yes. So there's not much more they can do at this point.
And I have a question on page 9. It's a small claim, and it's money that came out of the council equipment budget for the law books, $241 from Matthew Bender and Company. Why do we need law books?
I'm not sure. Who? I don't know.
You don't know?
Let's
Okay.
table that one.
I think so. I mean, if we need them, we need them, but
You've got a legal scholar on the payroll.
as of today, yes.
Well, and some, in our council budget, Scott, did we have a line item for further education or for our legal fees? Because sometimes those publications get updated and then they have to purchase the newest version of that, so
Now it's a physical
possibly,
book, is that what you're saying?
it just says law books, but I know with like the public register and EPA, they update those. I know with law enforcement, you have publications that get updated. And so to get the newest version, there's a line item in the budget that allows them education or publications.
We typically use it on publications and printing. We buy ours, we buy about four of the new books every year for each division of the police department. But I don't know, I'm not even confident that's the same, we're talking about the same things.
Okay.
Pretty big.
That claim could be lots of things. I'll get some more information for you guys.
It's not a lot of money, but every penny counts. So I make a motion we table that line item as well on the docket for $241.10 for law books till we further understand exactly what that purchase included.
I'll second.
We have motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
The last comment I have, and I know there was some discussion about the number of Comcast accounts that we have on page 13 that carry over actually to one other one on page 14. I would ask that maybe the clerk treasurer look into this, City Hall, Comcast, I didn't count them, but there's numerous Comcast accounts. It seems like we could consolidate these. It's hard to track and monitor Comcast payments when you have this many accounts. I would ask that maybe the clerk treasurer look into meeting with Comcast. I think maybe there had been some previous meetings with previous administration. I just don't know where we are with that discussion. I don't know how the rest of the board members feel. I just feel it's extensive to have that many Comcast accounts. I have, multiple units at my house, and I get one bill.
Actually, to substantiate what you're saying, we have 14 Comcast accounts at City Hall, and we have 5 accounts for the MVH.
And it's how the girls pay it too when they're breaking it down. Going back to that proven contract that we were working on renegotiating, that will also, Comcast has an enterprise account now, where, for government and for business, where they can combine things. So that would get cleaned up with that contract too.
That's all I have, Madam
Okay,
Mayor.
thank you.
We currently pay $16,000 a month approximately to Comcast. By consolidating things and renegotiating the contract, the IT company on our behalf, we can reduce that to approximately $3,000.
Well, I see that 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, or 12 of these are subscriptions and dues. Subscriptions, dues / miscellaneous, city hall.
That's just what,
That's the-
That's just how they
Yeah.
categorize it?
Yeah.
Okay. Shauna, did you have any questions?
No, I'm just sitting here thinking about consolidating. Are there some other opportunities maybe in other places?
I'm sure there is.
Partnerships that we can enter
I'm
into,
sure.
that we can leverage to say, we all have Comcast. Can we all leverage our resources together as a community to be able to bring our costs down across the board for everyone?
Good suggestion.
Well, I think that, I go back to NIPSCO and the streetlights too, because when we started the Clean Cities campaign, we had an audit on the NIPSCO lights, and there were actually light poles that we were paying for that they weren't even in that, there were no light poles there. So we cleaned a lot of that up, but I'm sure that we have to be vigilant to keeping an eye on those kinds of things. It's just additional fees that we shouldn't be paying.
Right, it's kind of like your house, if your satellite, your dish, your TV bill goes up, you call and I get it down, you get a credit. I do about every 6 months.
Jamie, did you have any questions on the claims?
Not that we haven't talked about.
Steve?
No.
Okay, then I would entertain a
Let
motion.
me just,
Go ahead.
according to this, like, each department head orders their supplies and stuff.
Mhm.
Is there any way you can just,
Centralized purchasing.
well, I don't know about centralized purchasing, maybe it would save us money, or ask your department heads to see, look into future purchases if they're, you know, better opportunities or cheaper. Every penny counts in this, time era, and,
Maybe that's something where you can talk about department head meetings.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think our department heads, because they're very budget conscious, they have tightened their budgets up. This last round, they were asked to make major cuts in their budgets, so I would say that they're keeping a probably even a tighter eye than this Board of Works is.
Also concerns me, the budget, people who use the money probably should be really involved in the decision of how it's spent. They're the ones who have to live with the decisions they make. So I don't really want to be a micromanager on that.
Yeah.
If we can centralize, get some discounts, that's one thing.
Yeah, anytime we can help them out, but I agree. I mean, I think that they're very astute at monitoring their budgets, because they know that every dollar they save can be spent somewhere else.
That's right.
Which, that brings me to a question about policy. What are the requirements for dollar amounts before things go out to bids for the cities?
That's by statute.
By statute? Okay, so it follows a statute for that. Okay, gotcha, thank you.
So Nina, one last question on these bonds, because page 1 has some horrendous numbers on bond payments. Are those paid twice a year, these bonds? So then we'll see this happen again in what?
End of June.
So you're talking about the park bond and the principal
Yeah.
bond?
They're always due right after you get the draw. Tax draw.
Okay, if there are no further questions, I would entertain a motion to approve the claims minus the items that were tabled.
I'll second that motion.
Am I making that motion? Can I make that motion as the chair?
You can entertain it for somebody
I'm
else.
entertaining it, so someone has to
Okay,
make
make
it.
a motion. I'll make a motion to approve the claims minus the ones that we tabled today.
I second it.
We have motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Are there any items that I have missed? This
Public hearing, is there?
If not, we have the public hearing time. If our fire chief and our assistant police chief have anything to say, and our street department superintendent? No? This lets you know that we are keeping a tight eye on this money, and this is gonna continue on. Is there any other business to come before this board? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion and second, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.